Hey y'all, welcome to Restless Chipotle Kitchen. Today we are going to make what is called a John Wayne casserole. Now I don't know if this really was a family recipe of his, but I do know it's delicious and I think you'll love it too. Okay, we're going to need 1.5 pounds of lean ground beef. This is 93.7. You could use 90.10. I don't like to use anything like 85.15 or less than that because it gets real greasy. But that's my preference. If you want to use a fattier ground beef, feel free. Okay, we're going to need 10, I think they're 10 ounce can of Rotel diced tomatoes and green chilies. They used to be bigger than that, the cans did, but they keep downsizing on me, so I never know exactly what to say. You're going to need some Bisquick or whatever biscuit mix you like. You can use a homemade biscuit mix, whatever, but you're going to need a biscuit mix. You're going to need bell peppers. I like to get the frozen bell pepper blend because one, it's a pretty mixture, and two, it's already sliced or cut, and it's just easier. I usually get the onion and bell pepper blend, but Amazon, when I made my order, was out of it. So I'm gonna have to cut up my own onions, y'all. It's terrible. Okay, so bell peppers, onions. You're going to need sour cream, 1/2 cup. Mayonnaise, 1/2 cup. I know it sounds weird. Taco seasoning mix and ranch seasoning mix, 1 packet of each. You're going to need 1.5 cups of cheddar cheese. You're going to grate this. I don't like pre-grated cheddar cheese because or any pre-grated cheese at all, because it's dusted with cellulose, so it won't stick together and it doesn't melt very well. And I like my cheese to be really melty and gooey, so I grate it from a block. You can do you, but I highly recommend the block method. And you're going to need 1 1/4 cups of water, and that's going to be divided use 2. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to brown this ground beef. We're going to preheat the oven to 350 and then head over to the stove and brown the ground beef. Okay? Okay, once our ground beef is browned, we are going to add the taco seasoning and the onions and peppers. Onions, peppers. And we're going to stir, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. I'm going to stir that up. And I did add some extra peppers in here. You know, you need to make these recipes your own. I'll give you the basics. But then, if you like onions, add more onions. If you like the flavor of bell peppers, add more peppers. Or leave them out. Whatever you want to do. Okay. And now we're going to add 1/4 cup of water. And stir that around. We're going to cover it and leave that to simmer for just a few minutes until the peppers and the onions are tender and everything is started to cook down. So while that's cooking, I've added 2 cups of Bisquick to a bowl. And to that, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of water. I don't know, does the same thing happen to y'all as happens to me? And that is all, no matter how many measuring cups I have, they disappear. Well, so we're going to count 3/4. 1, 2, 3. 3/4 cup of water. And we're just going to stir that up to make a soft dough. And depending on the time of year, the time of day, if it's raining outside or what, you may need a little bit more water or a little bit less. So just kind of play it by ear. This is the messy part. I set that aside, and we get my casserole dish, and I'm going to spray it with no stick cooking spray. Now, this is my trick. I'm going to spray my hands with cooking spray because I'm going to press this dough down in the bottom, and if I don't spray my hands with cooking spray, it's going to stick really bad. So you're just going to press just going to press the dough down and cover the bottom just like that. I have also just added biscuits, and that works pretty well too, but you do need to flatten them out. You don't want it to be too thick. You just have to keep spraying your hands so it doesn't stick. It's so icky. I have sensory issues, so I hate my hands having stuff all over them. Ah, y'all. Okay, this is where I need an assistant, right? So that they can do it. Have somebody else do the dirty work. Okay, so you're just going to spread that all over the bottom. And it doesn't matter if there's a few little holes in it, but do try to get it as even as possible. Like I have way more here than I have here, so I'm going to try to even that out some. And now we're going to put this, first I'm going to wash my hands. Be right back. We're going to put this in a 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes. We just want it to set. We're not cooking it all the way through. While that's baking, we're going to put the mayonnaise in a small bowl. And we're going to add a half a cup of cheese. And that was a very generous half cup, I know. And a half a cup of sour cream. Also a very generous half cup. Well, I like sour cream. And then the ranch seasoning. And we're going to mix that up until it's smooth, or as smooth as it's going to be with grated cheddar cheese in it. I'm going to just give that a little taste. Oh wow, that's good. And I'm going to set that aside. Okay, the biscuit part is just set. You can touch it without getting biscuit on your fingers, but it's still soft. So we're just going to take the ground beef mixture that we cooked with the onions and peppers, and we're going to spoon that lightly over the top and just cover the top really well. This is such a hearty casserole, and it's so easy to make. It's inexpensive, and you don't need anything too fancy for it. You know, you don't need to order any special ingredients. It's just so good. The other thing about it is it freezes pretty well too. Some people feel like the sour cream mixture gets a little grainy, and it might, but I've never really noticed that. Move the meat around so that it's pretty even, because you want everybody to get all of the flavor in every single bite. Now we're going to take the Rotel, and and notice I didn't even drain this. I just opened the can, and we're just going to spread the Rotel as evenly as possible over the beef mixture, just like that. You probably could mix it in with the ground beef. I never have, but you could. Now we're going to take this sour cream mixture, and we're just going to gently, and this is actually the hardest part, and that is getting it all on there so that it's covered. Sometimes I double this part of it, the sour cream and mayonnaise and cheese. Sometimes I double that because I like a thicker layer, and honestly, this is really hard to get on with just that much. And I probably should have doubled that today, but I didn't. So I'll show you how it works without doubling it, then you can decide whether you want to double it or not. Okay, so we've got that all covered, and now we're just going to sprinkle it with the rest of the cheese. If you've got like American cheese slices, you can just lay those over the top too. I've done that. Honestly, the amount of cheese you put on kind of depends on how cheesy you want it to be. We put a thick layer on there a lot of times. This is not a particularly thick layer because I'm trying to set a good example, but we have been known to put a couple of cups of cheese on the top so that when you pick it up, the cheese just is super gooey. Okay, get that cheese on there evenly. We're gonna put it in the oven for about 25 minutes or until the biscuit layer is done, it's heated through, and we're gonna say if you use an instant read thermometer, which a lot of times I do, if you put the instant read thermometer down in the center, it's not all the way to the bottom, but just about to the middle of the casserole, it's going to read about 190 to 200 degrees, and that should be about right, okay? We will see you back here in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay, y'all, here it is. It's warmed all the way through. It's at about 195 degrees by my instant read thermometer. The cheese is all melted. Now, you don't want to, as much, well, I won't say you don't want to. As much as you might want to dig into it right now, it really needs to set for about 5 minutes so that everything just settles in and you can get a decent cut without it all falling apart. To some extent, it's going to fall apart anyway, but just let the cheese set and everything. Give it about 5 minutes and then we'll be back. All right, y'all, it hasn't been quite 5 minutes, but I cannot wait to dig into this. That top layer is so melty and cheesy. We dig right on down through it. Now, this is great for potlucks or anytime you need to feed a lot of people. It's fabulous hot, but it's not bad at room temperature either. I mean, in fact, it's delicious at room temperature. I would have even been known to pick at this when it's in the refrigerator and have some of it cold. But you see, we let it set, and so we ended up with a nice cut out of there. I don't know if you can see all the layers, but there's the biscuit layer on the bottom, and then the meat and everything else. It's just delicious. You can, and for pictures and stuff, I do cut up some green onions or cilantro or something like that just to give it a pretty top, but I wasn't going to mess with that today because I am ready to eat. Okay, y'all, this is the stuff. Look at this. Look at all of that cheese. Ooh. And meat and biscuit. It's actually, you don't need a lot of side dishes or anything with this. You might want to add a salad, and that would really be about it because it's got the onions and the peppers and the tomatoes right in here. It's got biscuit in here, and then it's got meat, and it's got a ton of cheese, right? Let's take a bite. I wish you could take a bite of this with me. I really do, because it really is that good. It's so creamy. This layer with the mayonnaise and the sour cream and the cheese mixed into it, oh man, it is so good. Everybody's gonna love this. And it is so easy. I didn't drain the Rotel tomatoes because I was putting it right in the oven. But if you're gonna like assemble it ahead of time and cover it with plastic wrap and put it in the fridge overnight or for a couple of hours, then you might want to go ahead and drain the tomatoes, okay, just to make sure that it's not too soupy. I got a little sunburn at my son's in Florida last weekend. So I hope you make this. I hope you love it. Be sure and check out the recipe that's linked above. I think it's another recipe you're gonna love. And come back next week, okay? I love y'all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.